Tonight, Donald Trump is losing again, including in key areas where he has tried to use or allegedly abuse government power to go after foes. But against those losses, he is doubling down on the so-called retribution tour. So it's really a story of two sides of the same coin. Here's how Politico, the nonpartisan Washington outlet, puts it. We've hit, quote, full throttle as they report the revenge campaign is expanding by the day with an ever-lengthening list of targets. And this is something we've seen not only this week, but over the past several weeks. Trump sometimes loses. Some folks fight back. Some judges and courts agree with the people fighting back against what in some cases has been found to be government abuse or illegal and unlawful efforts to go after people. But then Trump, unlike really most modern presidents faced with setbacks, doubles down further. The testing, sometimes courting defiance. Testing the limits of what not only Trump but his aides can do in clearly risky ways, as some people win when they fight back.
The former FBI director's use of the term 86 has sparked something totally different, totally new, unprecedented, an investigation by the Trump administration.
One of the real problems we have in this country right now is the use of the president's power aiming at individuals who don't have my background or experience.
U.S. Attorney Alina Habba has announced charges against New Jersey Congresswoman LaMonica McIver.
This is not typical to charge a member of Congress, and neither is the way the Justice Department rolled it out.
It's political intimidation, and I'm looking forward to my day in court.
Pursuing her on that day's incident for a related, now collapsed case and arrest the same day of the Newark mayor.
We agreed to dismiss the case collectively. I mean, obviously, it was a baseless case.
The executive branch weaponizing government.
When you look at the investigations, it's a lot of critics of Donald Trump and Democrats.
Those who break the law should be prosecuted.
The Harvard community is reeling this morning after the Trump administration revoked its ability to enroll international students.
This is authoritarianism on steroids.
There you hear it. The escalation, what critics and foes call authoritarian tactics, even as in the first run, the early days, as we wrap up a week where the big case against a Democratic mayor was yanked by the Trump DOJ itself. We heard him there in that montage. That's the Newark mayor. So even as they lose that one on the Trump side, and even as Harvard is getting some good signs, they just keep expanding the target list, which raises serious questions about what to do when even their losses aren't dissuading them. So I want to get right to it tonight. Eugene, the Pulitzer-Prize winner, joins us and knows his way around so many of these issues. And for a more political perspective, an Obama campaign veteran, Chai Komanduri. Welcome to you both. Gene, I show how this is going, and we have another Harvard and law firm headline here tonight I'll start with. Some firms bent, but now you have a judge striking down the order that targeted Jenner and Block. That's one of these firms. The ruling saying that Trump is, quote, trying to chill legal representation they don't like by punishing lawyers. The fairest way I can put it, Gene, is governments are allowed to issue orders and test things, but when they find out they're illegal, they have to stop. And that's really what is now being tested as we go into this holiday weekend in the next couple weeks. On the law firms, on that mayor I mentioned, they are being told to stop.
Yeah, they're being told to stop, but they're not stopping. I mean, they keep doing these things, and maybe this is what we have to look forward to for the foreseeable future. This isn't so much testing the boundaries of what of executive power, of what the president can do, because in some of these cases he's being told, absolutely, you can't do this. And yet he does it to somebody else, or he does it maybe in a slightly different way, or he does it more, and says, well, can I get away with that? And so the courts, once again, have been the sort of final, protection, our final protection against really an out of control executive. And this may have to go on for a while because I don't know how you make him stop other than telling him no, no, no.
Yeah. Chai, we all know the term politics as usual.
Right.
This isn't supposed to be politics as usual. Letting it become usual even if they eventually back down, the Trump DOJ did drop the case against the mayor quickly. But they still think politically, that's where I turn to you on the politics, they think they're getting something out of it, and that not everyone will be like the mayor or James Comey and want to deal with this. So I leave that for your reflection, Chai. We'll get your answer. I just want to share what the mayor, in his own words, Baraka, told us about that case being pulled. This was earlier this week.
Our lawyers and their lawyers got together and made a quick decision that this should be not tried in any court at all. I think this is clearly being driven by that desire to do what was said earlier, to hurt people, to embarrass people, to humiliate folks. And they'll go further than that if they can.
Chai?
Yeah, I mean, so the Quentin Tarantino's Kill Bill opens with the line, revenge is a dish best served cold. The problem is that Donald Trump is serving us revenge piping hot. And that's actually the political problem. This is something that is designed entirely just for his base, entirely to show that he is an authoritarian, that he is showing masculine dominance over his enemies, but it's not reaching, you know, the average American, and Donald Trump's approval ratings are dropping because he's pursuing things like this. You know, Frank Sinatra, somebody that Trump says was a friend of his, Nancy Sinatra says Sinatra loathed him. Sinatra said the best success, the best revenge is massive success. You know, Donald Trump really wanted revenge on his enemies. He could do it by governing well. He could do it by taking the economy Joe Biden left him and improving it. Instead, he's actually doing the reverse, and he's spending all his time pursuing these revenge targets that are, frankly, very poorly thought out and seem totally impulsive, like everything else he does.
Eugene?
Yeah, it does seem to be massively counterproductive what he's doing, because, as Chai said, his approval ratings are not good. He's doing these crazy things with the economy that make everything worse rather than better. Today, he announces 50% tariffs, and then Scott Bessent takes it back, and then he says, no, really, we're going to do 50% tariffs against Europe, and the markets fall. I mean, and that's not a good look for this president, who just so loves to portray himself as successful in all things, especially as successful in business. Again, is it just impulse, or does he think there's actual political gain in all of this? I'm not sure, but it's clearly not really working in his benefit.
Right. I mean, and it can be both. There may be someone who thought, well, let's have an immigration-related clash. They've clearly courted that in going after a local judge. That case is murkier. And now 2 indictments in the ICE facility clash, which was not murky. Many accounts discredited the legal claim by the DOJ. And as I mentioned, 1 case dropped. And so it may be, to Gene's point, both. It may be that they thought, oh, this is immigration, we want to push that issue, yada, yada. But then some incompetent people rushed the arrest without finding out that there was public video evidence showing the authorities welcoming the mayor in, which is the opposite of trespassing. Chai, I want to turn to another setback that Trump just got today by giving you a tough quiz that you may not get. And we won't be disappointed if you don't get it. What, since Chai brings up culture, what do Natalie Portman and Conan O'Brien have in common that relates to the Trump retribution era we are in?
They both went to Harvard. You know, Natalie Portman attended, I believe, from 2000 to 2004. She's a movie star that in the movie Social Network they talk about as being the most famous person on the campus. And Conan O'Brien also attended Harvard. There you go. So I'll jump in. You got it. Yes.
They both went to Harvard, and they both came from other countries. A lot of Americans like how they've contributed to this country. But they're one of the many talented people who came here legally, I should mention, and in demand. Harvard's not that easy to get into. And so the way that the Trump administration thought it would, quote, punish Harvard as they are in this standoff over even larger issues was shut down their ability to bring in future students from abroad to Harvard. Now, the government does have wide authority in general on that. For example, if there's a security reason, that's hard to overcome. But this looked so punitive that here's the headline from the New York Times, and this is breaking today. Judge blocks new Trump effort to bar international students at Harvard. Chai, another area where they're losing in court, and the chosen battle lines are no longer Venezuelan alleged gang ties, but rather whether Americans like Conan being here.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they thought that Harvard would be a really good target because it's the ultimate elitism, except for the fact that many members of the Trump family went to Harvard, including his son-in-law, Jared Kushner. And it also shows how poorly thought out this whole thing is. You know, I got news for you. Harvard will probably be fine. There is no university that has the financial resources that Harvard University has. You know, it basically has a corporation that's the size of some small countries in some cases. And so to pick a fight with Harvard, you know, is just such a poorly thought out piece of strategy. It just shows you the kind of impulsiveness that is driving the Trump revenge agenda.
Gene?
Yeah, and it's a misreading, I think, because in the case of Harvard, I think maybe on some level they just thought Harvard would cave, that Harvard would give up, that they didn't take into account that Harvard does have the resources to wait out the entire Trump administration if it wants to, amid all these punishments that are being attempted. So it was just a bad strategy to begin with, to pick on somebody who's big enough to hit you back.